Good evening. It has been Easter Monday, which means that it has been a day off for everyone in Finland, basically. It has been a very busy day here. I did manage to hand baste the collar into place. Now I just need to sew it down. That means that I'm gonna very carefully stitch in the ditch and hope that gives me the result that I need. It's late. It's almost 11:30 here today, which is kind of a problem. I'm just going to very quickly sew down the collar, and then I'm gonna head to bed, I think. Yeah, because it's been a very busy day, and on the other hand, my partner and I, we've been playing a game called It Takes Two, and it's so much fun. Like, so much fun. And, yeah, it's just so much fun. It took 3-ish hours out of my day, but it was totally worth it. But that means that I'm starting my sewing way too late, which is not great in terms of getting all this stuff done as soon as possible, because I really want to get to the next project. And with that, I think, let us sew, and I will see you tomorrow. Good evening. It is already 11 p.m., which means that it's almost time for bed. I have once more failed to start sewing at a reasonable time, so here we are. But we're not gonna let that stop us. In general, it has been a very productive day here. Why do I always leave my measuring tape far, far away? Anyway, it's been a very productive day here today. Which is, of course, why I haven't gotten around to sewing. What is happening? I see. I knocked the bobbin threading thing. What was I saying? I was saying that it has been a very productive day here in general, which is good, but it is also why I haven't gotten around to sewing before now, and that's kind of, it's both annoying but also kind of good, because I did manage to do a lot of so what I'm doing in terms of fiction right now is I'm reading the novel that I wrote for NaNoWriMo. I'm reading it for promises, because I have a problem with I tend to throw everything in the first draft. Basically everything, including the kitchen sink. But that sort of, it tends to lead to a place where I'm making promises in the first third of the book that don't then bear out, because that's not the story that I wanted to be telling. And right now I'm reading the book through for those kinds of promises, so that I can make sure that the promises that I'm making in the first third of the book are consistent with each other, but also so that I can make sure that all the promises that I make are actually borne through, which may or may not be the case. It's, at the moment, I suspect it's not. But that's what revision is for. So anyway, I read like 3 times the amount of stuff that I meant to, or I need to, today, and that was very good, because I really want to make some good progress on that book while I'm on vacation. But again, that has left me after 11 p.m. trying to sew the pirate shirt forward. I did actually do some sewing while I was watching my AWS lectures again. I did base the gathering thread onto the sleeves while I was watching my videos. So that was a good bit of work done. So my plan right now is to sew the sides of the body so that there's a stable point where I'm attaching it to, because I don't want to do the same thing that I did before, which is where I start at roughly about the place where I want to start, and it turns out that it does not come out very stable. So what I have done here is I have marked 10 centimeters, aka 4 inches from the bottom of the shirt, and 36 centimeters from the top, which is the shoulder. There's no seam at the shoulder here, which means that it's just a fold. So I wanted to make sure, because I cut this, I cut the slit for the neck opening. I cut it so that it was exactly on fold, like this, like it has been set now, marked now, and yeah. So the plan is to sew this side seam, then the other side seam, and then start gathering the sleeves into place one at a time. And hopefully, I think I can get both sleeves in tonight. And that just leaves a whole lot of felling for tomorrow, which is fine. It's fine. I've got, well, I'm probably going to be detangling the dog during the morning movie. I think I told you last week that we washed the dog. So now that he is still clean and shiny, and most of all, the conditioner still hasn't, the leave-in conditioner still hasn't entirely left his coat. It's time to make sure that there are no tangles left. Absolutely none. He is completely tangle-free right now, from about his shoulders backwards, because he does not like having his front paws touched at all. So that's gonna be probably gonna be tomorrow's little breakfast movie project. Although that is going to have to depend on the weather, because doing that to a wet dog is not pleasant for me or the dog. So we will see. The weather has been very unpredictable during our little holiday here. But in general, if that does not happen, then I will be felling. And if that does happen, I will be felling during watching my AWS lectures, because I've got a certificate exam coming up at the end of next month. This is April, yes, at the end of May. And I am so not ready for it. So I need to watch the lectures, even though I'm technically on holiday, but you know. I am very much a type A personality, so I tend to overschedule myself at all times, which is why we instituted the breakfast movie rule, so that whenever we're taking day off or something like that, we're watching a movie with breakfast, so that I will at least take that much of a break during the entire day. And that's so far, that's been very good for me. Anyway, on to sewing. Good evening. The time is now 20 minutes to 8 p.m. And yes, I do, in fact, sometimes manage to film before it is dark outside. It is not dark outside. Anyway, I did finish the pirate shirt seams last night. So that has me thinking that I do need to, after all, add the gussets to the shoulder seam. Shoulder seam? That doesn't seem quite right. To the collar edge. Something like that. What is happening here? So here is where we are right now. There are no buttons or buttonholes in the sleeves yet, but in general it's looking pretty good, pretty okay. Even if I do say so myself. I'm planning to, whenever I wear this, wear something that sort of defines a waist around here, because I do have actually a rather nice waist right here. This is the problem that the gusset is trying to mitigate right here. So there's pulling right here, quite a lot of pulling actually. It doesn't look like there's a lot of pulling, but it's very noticeable when you're wearing it. And I think I have to take the collar out and add the gussets. Widen the shoulder seam area as well, I think. So that, I think, is going to make this shirt a lot more comfortable while wearing. It's gonna add to the poof between here and the shoulder seam, but I don't actually mind, especially if I'm gonna be wearing it with a waistcoat or a corset. That's gonna be fun. But it is largely done. For now, though, I think I'm going to be felling the sides. Actually, there's one of these side seams has a hand sewing needle in it right now. Making sure that the seam stays in place. No, it's there because I've finished most of the seam while watching videos again, and I wanted to make sure that it sticks around where it's supposed to stick around until such a time when it is supposed to let go. There's also I noticed at some point that there's a piece here that didn't get sewed on properly, so I don't think that I'm going to take out all of this seam, but I'm going to add to this seam so that it is actually completely sewn on. Then I just need to add buttonholes. I kind of almost think that I might want to go with sewn on buttonholes, especially since I want to add a button loop around the neck, because I'm not going to be using it, but I want to have it, if you understand. And the button loop definitely needs to be sewn by hand, and I think that I kind of want to sew the other two by hand as well. And yeah, there's a lot of hand sewing in my future. Yay! Anyway, in the meanwhile, I think it's time to start thinking about my next project. Do I want to make... So, I have plans. I have great plans. One of them is that I really want to make a rose dressing gown. The rose dressing gown is a pattern by Gertie, I want to say Gretchen Hirsch. Anyway, it's an extension to her Charm Patterns princess coat. And I'm not sure that I want to tackle that next, because it's a gorgeous coat and it's a gorgeous dressing gown, and I really want to make it out of well, I've picked out two fabrics. One is cotton sateen for the outside, and the other is I can't remember if it was a linen or a cotton towel fabric for the inside, which should get me a what's the word for it? Bathrobe? Bathrobe. A very epic bathrobe. The thing is, Gertie's designs do not go up as big as I am. So, in order to make the rose dressing gown, I would need to add, I think, 7 inches all around. And that's a lot. I'm not sure that I really want to start with such an extensive project. So what I think is a good alternative is to do the Banksia. Muna and Broad have this Banksia. I think it's a bra originally, but they added a swim expansion to it with a tankini in the pattern mix, which is basically a tank with an inbuilt bra. And if you make it out of a fabric that is not swimsuit fabric, it's a very good sort of lounge around what is the word? We call them undershirts in Finnish, aluspaita. All the undershirts are called undershirts. So whether it's a camisole, that was the word I was looking for. So whether it's a cami, whether it's a wife beater, whether it's a tank, all of them have the name undershirt, aluspaita. Sometimes even t-shirts if they're specifically meant to be worn under a shirt. So any skin layer fabric is going to be, and there goes the notification for my stretch and turn, or rather my partner's stretch and turn, because instead of me making the bread this time, it's him making the bread this time. I usually make the bread and he does the cooking. So anyway, I'm gonna be right back. Where was I? Oh, right. The Banksia tankini. So yeah, I really want to make that. I am actually very excited about that. But one of the things that is on my goal list, or my passion planners, things to do, the wish list, my passion planners wish list is making trousers or pants, whether you're American or British, or rather the other way around, because pants means something else in British English than it does in American English. This is a thing that I learned out of having a British friend who will tell us these sorts of things. Anyway, I forgot what. Right. So there was the Jackie trousers by hand, from By Hand, London, are another thing that's on my to-do list. And these are both things that I really want to make. But Cashmerette has a pattern for what is it called? Trench coats. I'm not real happy about that pattern because it's one row of buttons, and it has the silly flaps that don't do anything. So what I've been wanting to make a trench coat for a while now, and partially because manufacturers don't seem to think that women my size want trench coats, which is patently false, by the way. But I want a trench coat, and so I was starting to look at different patterns, different types of trench coat, and something that baffled me was the flaps, because some trench coats only have one flap, some have two, and it sort of depends on, and it sort of, if there's only one, it differs on which side of the body the flap is. So I started looking into the history of trench coats, and turns out the trench in the trench coat means exactly that. It was developed in I think the British Army during the First World War as a coat for the officers. So they were double-breasted because British military, but more importantly, they were intended as raincoats. So the flap, it's meant to cover the closing set of buttonholes, so that you don't have water running inside the buttons or the button flap. So if you have the button flap here, the flap is supposed to come down here and attach, so that the water that's running down from your shoulders doesn't run into the under the button flap. So it's ingenious. And why not make a trench coat that has this ingenious, magnificent thinking behind it, Like, it's so ingenious. And so yeah, if I make the cashmere trench coat, I'm going to have to hack the pattern so that A, it's double breasted, and B, the flap on the shoulder comes down to cover the second row of buttons. That's just a thing that has to happen. There's no other way. So anyway, yeah, lots of choices, and I can't. How is one supposed to make choices? So my sewing goals for this year are: 1, make trousers, B, make a coat. The Banksia tankini does not fit into these, but it would be a fabulous thing to be wearing around the house. Especially since, given the rate at which we are getting vaccine doses into this country, I don't think that I will be fully vaccinated, until probably November, December. So I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, I would love to wear that tankini because it looks really fucking comfortable. Alright, decisions have been made. I'm going to make the Muna and Broad Banksia tankini, except it's not a tankini tank. It's a tank and a camisole all rolled into one. Anyway, I'm going to make that first because it is by far the smallest project on my list of possibilities, and I already have the pattern printed out because I have been planning this project for a while, and I am very, very excited about this. And my friend who writes as Frida Vaughn made the perfect argument that I'm going to make all of them anyway, so just start with one and be done with it. And I figured this one will be the fastest one to make. So if I make this and then start working on the trousers and then start working on the trench, because the trench won't be done by the time that it's usable here in this hemisphere, until in the fall, like probably September. So if I make the Muna and Broad tankini, I will probably be done with it possibly even by the end of this month, which would be great, because then I could start working on the trousers, which might possibly be done by the end of June, possibly, maybe. We'll see, given how long it's taken me to do these 2 shirts. I mean, it hasn't been that long, has it? I started them in March, maybe? Anyway, so yeah, that way I could have the trench finished in time for September-ish, when it's going to be needed, I hope. And that's awesome. I'm gonna start assembling this set of patterns. I just need to figure out which pieces I'm actually making, because that is not necessarily, I printed out, okay, this is 8, 7, 6. I printed out according to the instructions in the pattern, but that does not necessarily mean that I am entirely sure how to put it all together. So that's fun. The first 2 pieces that I found, those were extremely simple to put together, but the rest is not. So I'm going to go get myself some reference material, and then I'm going to put this thing together. And because I cannot make the lighting work in that general area, which is what I need for the pattern putting together, I'm going to just not film that part. And I will talk to you tomorrow. All right. Hello. Good afternoon? Evening. Good evening. Today is time to get the Banksia pattern together, and I didn't actually manage to do anything last night, but before I get started on the pattern, I need to clean up my sewing pattern table, cutting table, whatever. This thing that everything is on, it needs cleaning up. So I'm gonna do that right now. It is now Saturday afternoon, evening. I was still trying to figure out what was happening with this pattern. Apparently my Pomodoro is out. Anyway, I was still trying to figure out what was going on with this pattern when I ran out of battery. So what is going on is the Banksia pattern is actually a bralette, and the tankini is part of a swim expansion. So there are pattern pieces from 2 different patterns here. One for the bralette part and one for the tankini part. And the tankini part, I'm making the whole thing out of at a size G with a D cup bust, and I was trying to figure out how to put this together because the there are, I have printed out 1 through 8, 1 through 9 plus 12 and 16, 19, and 21 in order to get the whole thing done. I think this is from the bralette pattern, and then 38 through 54 on the swim expansion. So I was trying to figure out how these all go together, because I was like, on the swim expansion, the pattern pieces on the 1 through 9 pages, they do this, they're for the B cup tankini, and I was like, this is not right, this can't be right, what is happening here? So eventually I did manage to figure it out. So now it's basically time to just get it all done. I'm trying to figure out if I should, because I'm going to show you close up. So here, because I'm printing on A4 paper instead of American letter paper, I need to trim the edges away so that I can actually fit the pattern pieces together. And that's gonna be a chore. But I do have this handy dandy thing that I bought just recently. I just need to figure out how to make it work. After I managed to print out the number 8 page, because this happened on my first try of the machine, and this is not a good look. This is extremely frustrating, is what it is. So, I am going to have to either piece this back together or do something. And then hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to make this thing work so that I'm not cutting away so much. I could do it with scissors, which is exactly what I'm going to do if I can't figure it out. But I would much... And my break is over. So I would much prefer to do it with the machine. I got it so that I wouldn't need to, so that I would be able to get more precision into my cutting and make it more workable. So we're going to see if we can figure this shit out, and hopefully yeah, make it good. I will see you on the other side. evening. The time is almost 10 p.m. on Sunday evening. That means I don't have all that much time left here today, but it is enough time to cut out the pieces that I need for the Banksia tankini. And yeah, I should be able to make some good progress on that. I have already laid out my power net for cutting. Hold on, let me. Alright, so here are the 3 pieces that I need to cut out. Technically it's 4 pieces because these slings are going to be, there's going to be 2 of them and the other 2 are caught on the fold. So, it seems that power net is a bit of a pain to get even. As you can see, both sides of the fabric are wonky, to say the least. So I've got the nude power net, and I have the white bamboo there we go. The white bamboo all ready to be cut. I just need to settle the pieces on the bamboo. I've only settled the pieces on the power mesh, power net, whatever, that thing, because I figure that it's going to take a moment to cut all these. The patterns do have the seam allowances on them, so I'm not gonna leave too much room between the pattern pieces because I don't have a lot of the power net and I want to use as little of it as I possibly can, because that way I can make more of these things. And I do have quite a lot of the bamboo in 3 different colors. One is white, one is black, and one is this really bright yellow that I really like. So yeah, let's get to cutting. Alright, I'm pretty sure that's everything cut out. And that means that it's time to put this vlog and myself to bed. Next week I'm going to be participating in the convention Flights of Foundry, so I probably won't have much time over the weekend to sew or any. So yeah, I'm really excited about the convention. Even if it does mean that I will be unable to keep going on this project. But I do have some time during the week to get this project moving. Hopefully I'll be able to get most of it done during the week, because that would be amazing. But we will see. In any case, the convention is just this weekend, and that means that I would very much like to take as much of the as much out of it as I possibly can. It's been, the last convention I went to was Worldcon in Dublin, which was in August 2019. So I have been missing conventions a lot. Last year, by the time that convention season rolled around here, it was too late. We were already in basically lockdown. So yeah. Anyway, fun times. This is where I end this week's vlog. It is definitely time to go to bed. The power net took a lot longer to cut out than I thought it would. It was kind of a pain in the patella to get done, but I did get it done. I'm tired, and tomorrow is a day job day, so it's time to go to bed. And I will see you next Thursday.